Hello, everybody. I come to you today to talk about a very, very important subject, and it's about the Pope Francis, and his brazen move toward paganism and towards just promoting things that are not biblical at all. And he knows these things are not biblical. What he's pushing, what he's promoting, is he's trying to elevate nature to God, to something spiritual. It is just straight paganism. And what I want to do, I want to read you some of his recent tweets. And it's all he talks about nature and the restoration of nature. And what about the restoration of the soul through Jesus Christ? He elevates nature, and it's not biblical, and it's very dangerous. I mean, it's to the point where it's getting so bad that he could be setting up the religion, the new religion that the Antichrist will use to control the masses. The new paradigm. It'll be about nature and paganism and climate change. And if you do anything against nature, they say it's a sin. Uh, it's what he's doing and what he's saying is intentionally, because like I said, he knows this is intentionally, has nothing to do with Christianity. It has nothing to do with the Bible, and and he gets mad whenever he's challenged on it. If you challenge him on it, he'll call you a Pharisee or something like that. And this with Christians, this is what we have to be prepared for. We have to be prepared for the end times when something like this comes around with the Pope. He could be the false prophet. He could be setting up the system for the false prophet uh, and the beast. But what will happen is you'll put out some stuff like this and try to couch it in Christianity, and then anyone who comes out and says, no, it's about Christ. It's about Jesus Christ who died for us on the cross. It's not about nature or some mystical aspect of nature. It's about Christ. You'll be called a zealot. You'll be called a Pharisee. Now I'm gonna read some of these tweets he did recently. It's like 5 or 6 of them in a row where he says stuff that has nothing to do with Christ or coming to Christ. Here, I'm going to read them off. He said, we are called to be instruments of God our Father so that our planet might be what he dreamed of when he created it and correspond with his plan for peace, beauty, and fullness. Again, talking about the planet, or instruments of God the Father so that our planet might be what he dreamed of when he created it. I mean, then here's another one. Everyone is important in God's eyes. Everyone can transform a part of the world polluted by human veracity into the good reality willed by the Creator. And see, and what this shows is that uh, the Pope is almost fanatical when it comes to the way he's trying to elevate nature and paganism. It's almost fanatical. I mean, here it is. It's all he talks about. And here's another one. Today, the nature that surrounds us is no longer admired but devoured. We must return to contemplation so as not to be distracted by 1,000 useless things. We must find silence for the heart not to become sick. We must be still. Yeah, he's just going on about nature. Here he is. To contemplate and to care, these are two attitudes that show the way to correct and rebalance our relationship as human beings with creation. I mean, what is that? I mean, what is that? Rebalance our relationship as human beings with creation? Why should we have to rebalance our relationship as human beings with with the creation, with nature? No, it's about rebalancing our relationship with God, reconciling our relationship with God through Jesus Christ, through Jesus Christ, not with the creation. And then he says, uh, contemplation, which leads us to an attitude of care, is not a question of looking at nature from the outside as if we are not immersed in it, but we are inside nature. We are a part of nature. I mean, we are inside nature. We are a part of nature. Pope, what about our spiritual selves? What about our souls? But it's just talking about nature and the restoration of nature and the reforming of nature and the transformation of nature. And here's the kicker. As many spiritual masters have taught us, heaven, earth, sea, and every creature have an iconic capacity or mystical capacity to bring us back to the Creator and to communion with creation. I mean, this is just pure paganism. Pure paganism. And it has nothing to do with the Bible. It has nothing to do with Christ. As many what spiritual masters is he talking about? Who? What spiritual masters do we need? But all we need is Christ. Who? I mean, what spiritual masters is he talking about? Then he said that nature has some iconic capacity or mystical capacity. Mystical capacity in nature to bring us back to the Creator and to communion with the creation? I mean, really? What mystical capacity does nature have? I mean, who ever heard of such a thing? A mystical capacity that brings us back to the Creator? No. You know what brings us back to the Creator, Pope? What brings us back to the Creator is Jesus Christ. What Jesus Christ did for us on the cross, for our soul, to save mankind. For God so loved the world. What are you doing talking about nature and some mystical capacity of nature? I mean, what is that? That's straight paganism. Paganism. Here's an interesting article right here. They talk about Pope Francis and the Kabbalah, from Jewish mysticism to pagan collaboration. And this is a good article. I'm going to put a link to it under the video for people to read. They have to read this. As Christians, we have to put on the whole armor of God, the full armor of God, and we have to be ready. We have to be ready for stuff like this. This is the stuff we're going to see in these end times. People, the Pope, he's trying to change the truth of God into a lie and introduce some new pagan religion to try to couch it in Christianity. And anybody who challenges him will be called a zealot or a Pharisee. We have to be ready to die to challenge this nonsense. I mean, look at it. He's talking about cosmic love. I mean, what is cosmic love? Ecological restoration, conversion, or the ecological conversion that is needed. I mean, no, the only conversion we need is a convert to Jesus Christ, to Christianity, to give our life to Christ. Not no ecological conversion. But you need to read all of this because it tells you how this Pope is really he's trying to couch this paganism within Christianity to try to make it acceptable to the masses. And sadly, a lot of people are going to accept this, but it's going to be upon Christians to challenge this at every step of the way and to bring as many souls as we can to Christ. And bring as many souls as we can to Christ, because what he's doing It's not biblical. It has nothing to do with Christ. He's changing the truth of God into a lie. And he knows what he's doing. And when you look around what's happening in the world today, you know what times we are in. You see what just happened with the peace agreement with Israel, the Abraham Accords. The Bible says in Daniel, I think it's 9:27, that there'll be he will sign an agreement with many for 1/7, a covenant with many for 1/7. And what you see with this agreement is that many nations are starting are supposed to be signing on to this agreement. So he didn't enter into the agreement. He's confirming this agreement, and confirm means to strengthen. So watch for people who come in and enter into this agreement and strengthen it. Specifically, maybe a nation that you wouldn't think would come into it, that you would think would be an enemy of Israel, and then they come in and they confirm this agreement, and then they become a friend of Israel. Look for that nation, for that person to be what we look at as the beast of chapter 13 in Revelations. Because, again, we have to be ready for this as Christians, especially before this name of blasphemy is revealed. Because when this name of blasphemy is revealed, and you take on this name of blasphemy, I mean, you're going into the lake of fire with the false prophet and the beast and Satan. You're going into the lake of fire if you take this name of blasphemy. And this is why what the Pope is doing is so dangerous. Because I have a feeling that he's going to try to introduce this mystical capacity of nature. He's going to try to name it at some point and try to say it comes from God or it comes from some sort of, from Christ, and try to impart this to the masses. Watch for this. Because this, like I said, this name of blasphemy, it talks about it in Revelation 13. Here you go. In Revelation 13, it says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And I saw one of his heads," in verse 3, "and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed." See, it says one of his heads. But this name of blasphemy that's going to be introduced is what's going to take people to the lake of fire, get people thrown. And the beast and the false prophet and the minions, they're going to try to get as many people to accept this name of blasphemy. And that's why you have to closely watch this Pope. You have to closely watch what he's doing. He's trying to introduce paganism and counter this Christianity. And like I said, he might eventually try to name whatever this mystical capacity. He talked about that before he became Pope. He said he had some mystical experience before he became Pope. He's talking about a light entering his body. So is this the same mystical capacity in nature that he's talking about? He's trying to elevate nature to something spiritual or something even higher than God. And maybe we turn into, like I say, a sin for you to try to, if he says that you do anything against nature. And then you got to think about, on the political side, it'll be the same with climate change fanatics who will say, use climate change to try to control every aspect of human behavior and tell you what to do, what car to drive, how many kids you can have, tell you everything. We all want to against pollution and want things like green technology and a healthy planet and save the planet. But to try to elevate nature the way the Pope is trying to do is strictly paganism. It's strictly paganism. So we have to watch out for it as Christians. And we have to try to bring as many people, as many souls as we can to Christ. If you listen to this and you're a Christian, try Try to bring as many souls as you can to Christ now. And if you're not a Christian and you're hearing this and you have it in your heart to go, just all you have to do is go into your room, kneel down, ask Christ to come into your heart. We are in some serious times now. And please, please, I beg of you, please come to Christ. Because once this name of blasphemy is revealed, people take on this name of blasphemy, there's going to be no hope. You're going into the lake of fire. We're in some serious times. And what the Pope is doing is not biblical. It's not about Christ. And we have to watch it.